There's some really bad videos of how to do this process online, and I've done it about 6 times now, so I'm going to do my best to provide a decent video of this process because it really is very simple. So first thing, you are going to have an air box on top of here. You're going to have 2 crankcase vent hoses on the side of the airbox. It might have a clip. That clip's nearly impossible to get back on, so I left mine off. This one didn't have a clip. Just pull down on them. The airbox just friction fits onto the top of these boots. Lift the airbox up. Find some sort of way to support your fuel tank. Your bike comes with a rod under the seat, but there's a plug you have to take out every time, so I use this piece of wood. You're gonna have to experiment with how long you need it to be. Then the first thing I undo are, it is difficult to get an angle, but that screw in there, it holds the carburetors to the top of the engine. They are Phillips #1 screws. It's very important that you get either all JIS or at least a JIS 2 screwdriver, or you're going to be very frustrated with this process. I ended up buying a clutch from Northern Tool because you need something relatively long to get in there. But you undo this screw, and then there is another screw right there. So once those are undone, part of what makes this easy for me and gives me the ability to give some decent angles is I have this awesome light. It's a scan grip light. I love. It's $200. It's meant for paint correction, but I use it for working on stuff all the time. But what you're gonna do is try to get a decent angle here. I like to grab this front, make sure your bike's on the side stand or something. Pull up on the rear. You have to do it hard. And that is the reality of this. You can't be gentle with it, so stuff's gonna go flying. Now you're pretty much all the way there. Alright, now that screw is out, you can reach in there and just pull it out. Nothing's gonna fall off the end of this. It's all retained somehow. Don't ask me how. Your throttle position sensor is right here. You can see right there, I have a new screw on the right, an old screw on the left, because somebody got in there with the wrong screwdriver and destroyed the screw on the right. I actually had to cut a slot in it to get it out. Now that those screws are undone, just pop it out, set it to the side. Next, we'll go ahead and do the choke cable on the left front of the carburetor. It's the exact same process as this one. Undo the screw and pop it out. This one actually is more difficult. You have to make sure, or the carburetors have to be out of the top of the cylinders in order to access the screw, but it's right there. That's gonna pull out and just stay with the bike. And we are already almost there. Like I said, there's some really bad videos on YouTube, but it's not a hard process. Okay, there's a vacuum source on the rear carburetor for the fuel tank petcock. It's got a constant tension clamp on it. This one, you might need some pliers, but just undo it, pull it off, and you can leave the hose with the bike. Okay, now that that clamp is undone, simply pops right off. And I believe the last thing, second to last, two more things. Going to undo your fuel supply hose. Comes from the fuel pump. It's gonna have that's the factory constant tension clamp. I much prefer those to these. I think they're cheap and ghetto. The worm clamps, I don't like those. But just get in there with a pair of pliers. Probably gonna need pliers to release it from the barb as well, and then just pull it off. So I think your best bet for this hose is gonna be to take a pick, go inside, making sure you're not stabbing through the hose. Go around the edge, break the seal, and then watch. It should lift right off. You still have to pull pretty hard, but there we go. Alright, now I think this is the absolute worst part of this process, most difficult. Your throttle cable. You could take a 12mm wrench and in whatever manner you want to, undo the nuts, loosen them up, and pull the cable out of the bracket down there. Alright, so once you break the 12mm nut loose, just twist it. And eventually it'll come free from the bracket. Do the same thing with the rear one. It's like a bicycle throttle, or bicycle brake. Exact same mechanism. It just it'll pop out. Alright, so once both of the cables are undone, it's going to be totally free. There's that bicycle brake mechanism I was talking about. Rotate it, and just, this is not easy to do with one hand. But it's gonna eventually pop out. The one here on top, this one sitting on top, that goes to the far side of this bracket. And the one on the bottom goes to the near side. Pop it out. The last semi-difficult thing you have to do, try to get you an angle. Nice. Pick your carburetor up. Carburetors, I guess. Slide the rear choke cable through the bracket. You have to finagle it through there. And then this plate, that plate has to match up with that hole. That's the only way it's going to come out. It's like a teardrop shape. Still not easy. One of the more difficult parts of this process. But it'll find home, pop out, and that is it. Oh, one last easy thing. Alright, starting from the access cover to turn your crank over on the left side of the bike, go up, right, it's getting blown out by the light, but that's your idle adjustment. Take your finger in there, it's going to be in there pretty tight, pop it out towards you, and that is it. I'll show you in just a minute that the carburetor assembly is going to come right out. Alright, now that the assembly is out, this is how it sits in the bike exactly. It gives me the opportunity to give probably a better overview of what exactly you need to do. So I think the first thing I did was disconnect the fuel tank petcock vacuum line from that barb. You have your choke cable, front choke cable, right there. That car sounds pretty awesome. Your fuel supply for the whole carburetor system right there. That's the one with that annoying clamp. Your throttle cable that you remove with 12mm wrench. This is gonna be upside down. But your throttle position sensor, it's held in with 2 PH2 screws. And then where does the choke cable go? Right down there, choke cable. Then I think the last thing is the idle speed knob. It really is a very simple job. Please do not, these are good for household use, but these screws on these Japanese bikes are fundamentally different than our American screws. You cannot use these or you're gonna have a really bad day. Other than that, I don't think anybody's watching these videos, but I've been chasing down gremlins on this bike. I finally figured out that the diaphragms didn't fit properly in here. So I actually got the slides to move, and you can hear that's what a working diaphragm sounds like. But I'm still leaking fuel into this front cylinder. Causes it to pop at idle, and I'm probably losing power, and it's just super annoying. So I ordered a set of what appears to be really nice low mileage carburetors already assembled. Hopefully I don't have any issues. Just go right back in with them, and hopefully the bike engine wise will be pretty much perfect. I'll probably continue to make videos, trying to be the best possible resource I can for these bikes. Not trying to talk down on anybody, but I really appreciate detailed, clear instructions, and there are some videos on here that are basically useless. So I hope this was helpful, and if anybody's watching, thank you.